Hello, internet friends. My name is Catherine, and I'm the human behind Creation is Culture. And today is another Color Wheel Monday, the series in which we go through color theory one color at a time. And we are finally starting with our yellow, which is the last portion of the primary color triangle. So we've already completed the red portion, the blue portion, and now we are getting into the yellow portion of the triangle, which is very exciting. So we're going to be starting by adding red into our yellow, and then after that we're going to work our way through the different colors and hues that we can be adding. And once we're done the primary color triangle, we're going to be working on the secondary color triangle. So let's get into this. Oh, hello, it's another Color Wheel Monday, a series in which I make my way through color theory one color at a time. So what we've done so far, we've completed the blue section of the color wheel, we've completed the red section, and now we're going to be working on our yellow section. So we're completing the triangle of the primary colors, and once we're done with the primary colors, we're going to be going into our secondary colors with orange, violet, and green. So this is very exciting for me because it's means that we're moving along. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is making 1% stock solution of brilliant yellow and fire engine red from Dharma Trading Co. Why am I using those colors? Because they are part of the starter pack, I would say, of Dharma Trading Co. So if you go on their website on the acid dye section, you will go at the bottom of the page and you will find that kit. And in that kit, there is 4 other colors, including black, Caribbean blue, and Zoe. What the heck? What's your problem? No, 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 no. She never does that, except the last week. I don't know what's her problem anymore. Anyways, so and there's also some citric acid in that kit to get you started on your dyeing journey. So what we're going to do is 1% stock solutions. So it's 1 gram of the dry powder with 100 milliliter of water. So let's get into this. And you need to use your respirator at all time when you have open jars of um, acid dyes, because this is very volatile and this is where it can get dangerous. And we only have 1 pair of lungs, so please protect them. Okay, let's get into the math. Okay, so 1%, we need 1 gram. Mm-mm. Oh, yes. On the dot, that's always fantastic. And I think I'm going to do a little bit more. I think I'm going to do 200 milliliters, so I will need 2 gram of the brilliant yellow. And it's important to make sure that your scale is zeroed out every time that you're doing a new color. There we go. Okay, I'm going to remove my mask now, and I'm very curious to see when we'll be comparing the adding red to the yellow compared to when we did add yellow to the red. I'm very curious to see what we're going to get from there. So let's move those over here. Let's grab the mason jars. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to be adding 10 milliliters of the brilliant yellow in each of the mason jars to have a 1% stock, like 1% depth of shade for brilliant yellow for all of them because it is our main character here. White 10 milliliters because we are using 10-gram mini skeins from Nitpick Fingering Straw, so we need 10 milliliters for the 10-gram to make a 1% depth of shade. And here we go. Last but not least. Okay, so now we're going to be adding the fire engine red. So we are going to be doing from 0.05% to 1% depth of shade of fire engine red because we want to see how the color interact with each other. When we did the add yellow to the red, we had a very pretty orange, almost burnt orange. I think if we had it a little black in it, it would have been like a beautiful burnt orange, but that's for another time. So 0.5, 1 milliliters, 2.5. And you can see that like the red is already taking main character energy here. Now we're going to switch up and do the 5 milliliters in the syringe. 5 milliliter here. 7.5 for 0.75 depth of shade, and 10 milliliter for our 1% depth of shade with the fire engine red. Amazing. So we're going to swirl this a little bit. So when we usually do these experiments, the first two colors remain mostly the primary colors that we're using. But in this case, the red is definitely overpowering the yellow, which I was expecting. Now it's just a matter of wondering how deep the color will go, I would say, because we had a very deep orange when we did red and yellow, but with the yellow plus red, we'll most likely get the same result for this one, but it's more for those shades that I'm wondering what it's going to look like. It should be an interesting exercise of comparison. So let's add the yarn. So we still have a very pretty yellow for this one, but it's more on the warm side rather than the neutral that we had. Well, it's so yellow is always warm, but there's some yellows that are warmer than others, and I feel like this is more of a almost a marigold color now. Oh, I like that orange. Very pretty. For the 1 for 1, I'm pretty sure we're going to have the exact same color that we had when we were working with our red. So that makes sense. But we have such a lovely fade of color. I really like it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to be adding that into the double boiler, so that way we can start getting this heated up. So let's get into this. Let's add the I really like that fade. It's really pretty. Okay, let's add the water now. Okay, so it's important to note that we still don't have any acid in the jars as of right now. The main reason being that I want to make sure that the color strikes evenly on the yarn. And once we've had I will wait. I usually wait a good 15 minutes to give the time of the color to make its way through the yarn. And after that, we'll be adding the citric acid. Okay, so we will see each other in 15 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes, I would say, since I last saw you. The colors are starting to look cute here. So we're going to be adding our citric acid. So usually the rule of thumb for the citric acid is about 1 tablespoon per pound, so 454 grams of fiber. So we don't necessarily have a lot of citric acid needed here because it's only 10-gram mini skeins that we have. Um, so like even a quarter of a teaspoon is more than enough for to activate properly. I really like those colors. They're very pretty. And I'm not an orange person usually, so but this yellow is really cute. I really like the marigold color. Well, maybe this one is more marigold. They can be both yellow and orange. So those two are marigold. Okay. So what we're going to do now is wait for the water to reach 85 to 95 Celsius. Once it reached that temperature, we need to let it cook for at least half an hour, sometimes up to 45 minutes, but most of the time half an hour is more than enough. And once we've let it cook for half an hour, we're going to turn off the heat on this and let it cool completely before washing it and letting it dry overnight. So I think we'll see each other in about 45 to an hour. 45 to minutes to an hour. Yeah. So, see you. Okay, okay. Okay, so I think we are good here. I really like this orange. It's very cute. I like the warmth in it. This one makes really like pumpkin vibes. Super cool. I really like those. Okay, we're going to turn this off and let it cool completely, and we're going to wash it later today. Okay, see you tomorrow. Okay, so let's wash this yarn. So it's very important when we are dyeing yarn at home to make sure that we remove all excess dye from the skeins, and this is why we are letting it soak in wool product, like made for wool soak. So I'm using Eucalyptus and I'm using it in an unscented, so no fragrance, because since I'm selling this yarn, I just want to make sure that I'm avoiding any fragrance that could make someone allergic to it. I didn't notice any tint in the water. I just saw some shadows. So we're going to wash the mason jar and then we're going to let dry overnight those pudu. And you can see it is clean bath. I was so happy when I saw that. And here's the final result of adding our red, fire engine red, into our brilliant yellow. As you can see, we have a more dramatic shift of colors compared to when we did the same experience, but with adding a yellow to our fire engine red. So this is also a good way to see how potent the fire engine red can be, especially when you compare next to each other. You can see that the shift was much more dramatic here, where this one was more subtle when we were adding the yellow into the red. So when you have yellow as a main character, you will have a wider range of color, which is nice and very fun to see. So you can see that this is still quite yellow, but not as much as the as what we had at first. So you will quickly lose your yellow and it will quickly become orange once you've added red into your color. So this is where you understand that yellow is not a color that is very potent, which means that it won't take as much color adding. Hello, Miss Zoe. It won't take much color to change and shift the hue, change the final result. So this is why it's important. Oh, are you only seeing Zoe now? Okay, Zoe, move. So this is, yeah, basically yellow will be lost much quicker. Boost, boost. Much quicker than other colors. So this is definitely something that you need to understand and keep in mind when you're dyeing yarn and you still want to have yellow in the final result. You need to make sure that the concentration of yellow is higher compared to the other colors that you will be working with. Because here you see we have a 1%, we had a 1% depth of shade for the yellow and 0.05% depth of shade for the fire engine red, and we still, it became a very beautiful golden yellow, but it's still yellow, but there is an orange tint. And just the 0.10% depth of shade for our fire engine red in the 1% depth of shade of yellow, you already have an orange and it's no longer a yellow. So this is good to keep in mind. All right. So if you've liked the video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye.